everybody. Welcome back to Clip It. This episode is a special episode. Me and Miki. Miki, welcome back to Clip It
Hi.
Real Talk.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm glad to be here.
Yes, welcome back to Clip It Real Talk. Today we are going to be talking about what's going on in the world right now. May George Floyd rest in peace. But we wanted to touch bases in regards to that whole situation and how it has affected us as individuals. And we also want to take it a little bit further and discuss that type of situation in the beauty industry. And when I say that type of situation, I am talking about racism, segregation, just what we deal with behind the chair and what people don't know, everyday life for, unfortunately, African Americans. And I just wanted to touch base with that. So, Miki, when that happened, did you see the video?
I have seen a good portion of the video. I have not sat to watch the whole thing because my heart is like too fragile to even try to watch all of it. I've heard enough of, what he was calling out and all of that. Yes. And it's making me teary just thinking about it.
I know.
But I've seen enough of it. Let me just say that.
Okay. I actually looked at the whole video. And I just could not believe what I was looking at, because we actually witnessed a murder.
Yeah.
And it was, it's devastating. But the thing about this whole thing is, yesterday and maybe today, they have been posting a lot of different videos of young men that's recently have gotten killed the same way. No, can you believe this in 2020 that we are dealing with 400 years of the same stuff? Like, can you believe it?
Let me tell you this. I'm tall. My dad was tall, big guy, liked to dress nice. He usually had a nice car, or he had this car called Big Red. It's a 66 Chevelle. So it was like a fast little whatever. He's a real into car stuff. And I, as a kid, don't even know how many times he was stopped by the police, pulled over for nothing. My mother said, she hadn't even told me how many times. My sister said, they had guns pulled on him. I know it was on the ground. It's like they arrested him. It's like, and there's nothing that this man has done. Absolutely nothing. What you might call like a gentle giant. It's like
my husband is a gentle giant. My husband is 6'5". And when I saw George Floyd, but actually this particular time, I saw my husband.
Yeah.
And I just was like, because I don't have any children, so just my extension. He's my soulmate. I saw him. I mean, we've actually gotten followed by police, and coming into our own community where we live at. And it's very heartbreaking right now. For some reason, though, George, this whole thing, I guess it was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Absolutely.
Like, you could finish the conversation with your dad, because I would like to hear.
Yeah. Well, the thing that really struck me is, like, I was thinking about my dad when this all first happened, and my sister actually put a post up on Facebook about how he was treated and all of that, and it was wild because lots of different people on her page just started sharing, well, this happened to my dad, this happened to me, this happened to, it's like there are all these stories and stories and stories. And after I took a minute to kind of pause and reflect on all of that, my dad, listen to this, my dad has been dead, in this fall it'll be 40 years. All of this stuff is the same 40 years later. It's just, that part is like almost the most heartbreaking, because it is like, how, you know what I mean? My dad died in 80. So most of what took place with him was in the 70s, and it's 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even tell you how crazy that actually is. You know what I mean? I can't even wrap my brain around it. It's like, why?
I can't wrap my brain around how can they think? What are they thinking? How can they demise or do what they're doing to people?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's just like when Michael Vick went to prison for a dog for 18
Mm-hmm.
months.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
y'all don't go to prison for human life. So, but we know what
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to say. They trying to
Mm-hmm.
say, how about your life ain't even worth a dog? A dog's
Mm-hmm.
life is worth more than your life. And we gotta,
Well,
what?
one of the things I said was, if it had been a dog, everyone in the whole country would have been outraged. And you know it's true.
I know it's true. And I'm sitting here and I'm really, my blood pressure is probably through the roof.
It's a lot, but I think, for whatever reason, George Floyd was the tipping point, and we have this momentum. We have, the attention, I guess you could say, and
Yeah.
in some ways a listening ear, because so many people are rallying around it. And I don't think you could watch any of the videos, but particularly that video, and not feel like just the humanity of it.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever you are, whatever race you are, it's like, I don't think you could watch that
Mm-hmm.
and be the same afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
if
Miki,
you have any kind of heart or conscience.
exactly. Let me ask you, um, this um, white privilege and the fact they act like they don't understand. We
Mm-hmm.
don't understand what's going on. Like, why do Black people, all lives matter? And, we just don't get it. And I'm just like, how don't you get 400 years of slavery or whatever it was for centuries, lynching people, beating people? You know the history just like we do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, some, you can't say that across the board, because there's so limited amount of history like this taught in schools and stuff. And this isn't being passed down or having conversations over dinner with a lot of, folks that are not Black.
do you really think that they are that, I don't want to say ignorant, but I already said it.
And some of it I would say is ignorance. Some of it I would say is blindness. My friend calls it like a white bubble, where it's
Okay.
like you're just in your little world and not observing anything. And then, I've had several conversations, with people in the industry, and some without, outside of the industry. But, one white gentleman, checking in with me to see, it's like, have you always felt, respected or what have you with, our interactions? And it's like, I said, yeah, it's like I have, but we've never really had a conversation like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I just meant like a deeper conversation. We're, kind of colleagues in passing and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I never felt less than or anything like that. But he's like, he took it kind of literal, like with race, like, oh, like, have you experienced some type of racism before? And it's like,
Are you serious?
that's what we say. But
In the
yeah, it's like,
market.
but he's like, you're at the top hair shows along with me. We're sharing a classroom. You come after me, or I come after you, or what have you. And you're all across the country. You're a national educator, and
Right.
just like I am, and a business coach, just like I am. So I'm assuming that your experience has been about the same, similar. And it's like, with certain organizations, I've had really good, relationships where I've just been treated as a professional. But definitely in other cases, in other instances, I have been treated as less than, treated, what I call marginalized, where it's like you're there and almost like, well, be grateful you're here kind of thing. And,
Right.
And there's definitely just, just in everyday living is a completely different experience. And I think that a lot of times we just take it so much for granted that it is the way we live that we don't even think about it, or that anybody else would share that experience or even pick up on certain things that go on, that it's so subtle sometimes, but you know it when you feel it. I mean, you don't have to think, you think they were racist?
This whole thing, following the pandemic and then all of this marching and just the racism that this president has brought forth, that it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. So let me ask you a question. In our industry, can we talk a little bit about the segregation and how it has affected us as professionals? If it has hindered us in any way, it's a lot of things that we just have to deal with and just, brush it off. Yeah.
Because, it's like we can, make some changes in the way that we're treated and the way that we're perceived. And,
and
I
the
think
way that we treat each other as well.
Yeah. And I think, but that's what I'm saying, like coming together has made a difference for me, because I think each of us, and that's kind of where it started. I don't know if you saw Cynthia Lumsey's post. A lot of this within the industry started with her post, because, it's like, it was just like the breaking point of everything for her. Did you get to see that?
No, recently?
Yeah. In the last 2 weeks.
No, who is it? Cynthia who?
Lumsey, Lumzy.
Okay, what was her post?
She's an influencer, and she is a colorist. It's like I met her years ago. I did an interview. I won't say a little interview, but an interview with her, because I saw one of her hairstyles and I was like, oh, that is, all that. It was like, so I wanted to talk with her, and she was kind of just getting started, and she's a Black woman, but she's always lived in a white area. So most of her clients have been white, and she has moved into wigs. She does wigs now, but she has this huge following that she does this coloring, and it's fantabulous. But she has this huge following. And so she's an influencer, and companies, how do you say, kind of a brand or attach themselves to her and her numbers of people that she has followers on social media. And she works with some of the companies and does some education for some of them. And, it's kind of getting pulled in a lot of different directions. And I guess for me, it was kind of between, I describe it between a rant and a breakdown, a meltdown.
Oh, she had a meltdown?
Yeah. And it was, I'm just frustrated to the nth degree. One of the things that kind of sounds like it set her over the top was many of the companies, when we had Blackout Tuesday and you put the black square on your social media, that many of the companies, the majority brand companies, put up the black square, and they're like, we're with you, we're in this together with you, and so on and so forth. And she's like, since when? It's like, since it's a trending hashtag, you know what I mean? It's like, she just kind of let it rip from there.
Okay.
And it was very powerful because it was just such raw emotion of the pain and the agony that we've all felt. It's like she goes into, to work with the company she's been hired to work with, and they're like, oh, well, she must be like the black hair expert, where you're placed, who you're placed on stage with, it's like just, the whole treatment of how she's experienced it. And she's like, I've just had enough. I'm not going to be an influencer. I'm not working for anybody. I don't care.
Really?
My career. It's like, because I'm just done. And that, I think it just broke our hearts. Thousands, if not millions of people have watched it.
Is she still up? So that way at least I could see.
Yeah, it's on her Instagram.
So I'm gonna look her up and check her out. But
Yeah, but
Miki,
all of us that saw it are just like, something has to change. And she did it because she's like, I don't have anybody that understands. I don't have anybody to reach out to. It's like, I'm just doing this because it's like, I've got to get this out. And we're
and see that's
realizing
sad.
that we
Yeah,
have more of a
right,
connection than we
right.
really realize. Everybody's just kind of in their little bubble doing their own thing. One of the things that I see happening, which I'm really grateful that is happening, is that, like as Black artists, there's, I've been able to be part of a couple of groups where we're, just getting together and, one, of course, we want to make some changes in the industry. But the other thing that I've just found really interesting is that, we kind of know we all experience different things here and there, or maybe more than here and there. It depends on, where you are and what you're doing.
Mhm.
But most of the time we don't share those experiences with each other.
I know, and I think we should.
Oh my gosh, it's like, as I'm hearing more and more stories, it's like, oh my goodness. And one of the things that's really struck me as well, it's like these groups are, kind of top artists, you could say, in the Black community. And not only have we endured a lot of things that we shouldn't have had to endure, but we persisted. And we are, at a top level. We perform with excellence, and all of these things, like nothing really got in our way, even though there's still roadblocks, there's still glass ceilings, there's still all of this stuff. We have some kind of drive that is really powerful to kind of witness that we're in all of these rooms. And I was like, if we really looked at the power that we have, and we can harness that together, it's like there's really nothing that we can't do. But the heart has to be changed. And I think the only way the heart can get changed is by telling stories, sharing our stories as far
Yeah.
as what we've experienced.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm talking to the audience. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the beauty industry. I'm talking to
Mm-hmm.
beautiful Black women, because honestly, it's a post out there now, right? And it says, I'm a Black woman and I don't hold another Black woman down and all this other stuff. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not liking it, because it's not true.
Okay. Yeah.
And I
It's like
want it
the
to be true.
it's like the Black Lives Matter thing being posted on things where it's like, it's not true.
Right. So,
But
I mean, I want it to be true. I want
mm-hmm.
unity. I want a community in our industry. I want to form groups, where
Mm-hmm.
we do get to know each other, really
Right.
get to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, it's two knees on my neck. Because if I'm reaching out to a Black company to support me, I shouldn't have to jump through hoops like I would have to for the white man. It's even worse with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when in an event that you have arrived, or that you have these titles, or that even like now with social media, these social media stars um, think that they're untouchable. Like, I'm a star. Like, I don't have time for you. And like, we need to really regroup. How about that?
Yeah.
And remember who we are, where we come
Mm-hmm.
from, and try to help each other come up. You you were a platform artist, and you've been
Mm-hmm.
more amongst the elite in the business. And I
I
just
don't
want
know.
to know, like, how did you, I think I did hear you share that you experienced some racism in regards to certain platforms.
Mm-hmm.
They always try to demote us or put us where they think we should go. They don't even ask
Mm-hmm.
questions. They don't respect our craft as African American professional stylists.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of, this is just me, a lot of the styles and stuff that they're doing now is from our
Mm-hmm.
styling.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, our culture is like the most
Everything
adapted
they
of
doing right
everything.
now, out of color now. They off the hinges with color. I can't take it from them. But
And the lip fillers, that is driving me absolutely bananas. It's like, stop, people, stop. Just go with your lips, okay?
so anyway, it's, this is hopefully it'll change a lot
Hmm.
of things. Bring unity, not just within our own community of African American people, but community with those white people that's out there marching for us as
Hmm.
well. That's
Yes,
something real phenomenal to see.
it is. It is.
Um, I went to Westchester yesterday, and I saw it was all these white people on the corner. And at first, I didn't want to look because I was like, I don't know what that's going to say. Black Lives Matter. And I thought that then people start beeping their horn and stuff like that. So, but this has definitely, with the pandemic and
Yes.
everything else that's going on, it's like you have to woosah. You have, you have,
Without question.
yes, because it's stressful. Like the anxiety is off the hinges, and when you start thinking
Hmm.
about everything that's happening, and you're anxious, and we're out of work, so you want to go back to work. You don't feel it's just so
Hmm.
much. So
Yeah.
I just want to encourage everybody out there that this too shall pass. This too shall pass. So just hold on.
I came up with 5 things. It's like we've been trying to kind of, think about what is it that we do want. And so one is for me is to expand the definition of beauty. And I think that fashion has done a better job than beauty. And, they tie together, but it's like when I was a little girl, it's like Beverly Johnson was on the cover of Glamour. And it was just kind of the most exciting thing to see, someone who looked like me and, throughout the magazine and all that kind of stuff and various covers. And then in 74 going on to be on the cover of Vogue and,
Yes.
and it was just refreshing to see people that look like me. And if you go down the scrolls of a lot of the beauty publications and platforms, it's like when you go through there, it's like you see nothing. And pre-George, Floyd being killed, you have to look before then because everybody started trying to jump on the bandwagon. But before then, look and see, what was there, and it doesn't reflect a diversity of beauty at all. It's mostly white work, and so I think that we need to enhance the definition of beauty because I think looking back to Beverly Johnson, that she helped change the definition.
So
It's like,
what did you just say? You said that before George Floyd's situation,
hmm
what was going on?
yeah, when you look on the like on Instagram or what have you, because it's easy to kind of scroll down and see
Okay.
far back. If you look pre-George Floyd and after George Floyd, there's a difference. So you kind of have to look before George Floyd happened to see what their representation was
Oh, the white.
before all of this happened. Hmm.
Okay, so when you say it's a difference in which way?
Well, they started putting more black faces on their platforms
Oh,
after George Floyd was killed.
okay.
Yeah.
Still
So,
fake.
hi. I'm losing your voice.
It's fake news.
Yeah, there you go. So that's why I said to get the real news, you got to go before that happened. So check the dates. But that's my number one thing. And then number
Okay.
two is just feeling like, and I don't even know if I have a definition for it, but it's just, why can't we dream? It's like, why can't we dream of being whatever it is that we want to be and have that opportunity?
Hmm.
And Fatima talked about that. She won NAHA, which is the North American Hairstyling Awards, which is the top of the top. That it's like being on the cover of Vogue,
Hmm.
and yet there's still no opportunities for her because she's a Black woman, and it's sad.
She's fed up.
Yeah, and that's a different person than Cynthia Lumsey, but
Okay, I'm
but
sorry.
then Naima Alfan, she's the global director for a non-ethnic brand. And whenever she goes somewhere, whether it's in the country or out of the country, people assume she's there to do natural hair or do black hair. And she's like, no, I'm not even going to be, dressing hair or whatever, because it's like she's the person over hiring everybody to be on stage and what have you. I'm coming to give a message as the global director. And, it's like, it's not seen as, well, hi, what's your name? Who
Right.
are you? What are you here for? It's
Right.
just assumed that, and so it's like, and some people, are like, we don't want to be at the table. We don't want to sit at the table. It's like, we want to create our own. And that's fine. That's like, I think everybody gets to dream their dream, or should get to dream their
Right.
dream.
Right.
Yeah. And so, the third thing is listen to us, like my sister's experience with that setting. And I'm like, who do you think the big brand companies, not in the beauty industry, but big brand companies, hired when they graduated from college? Those same guys that weren't willing to listen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And four, include us in the decision making. It's like, we need, not only like a diversity team or what have you, but a seat
Mm-hmm.
on your boards, a seat, in your management, in your editorial space, in your, all of these things where you're making decisions. It's like, need to include people who look like us.
Right.
And then, just be willing to respect our differences.
Mm-hmm.
And, because I was hearing, it's like, I'm getting confused because
Disagree.
this person gets over here, they're saying this and this person's saying,
Right.
we're not one person. We're not one voice. It's like, we just happen to be Black, one race, but we don't all want the same things. And yes, we can come to, a consensus in a general way, but don't expect that you even get one voice. And it's like, oh, well, that's what all Black people want. It's like, no. I saw a harebrained interview with Miki Riley that was really good, and she kind of broke down like the different levels of racism, and subconscious is like that first one. And it's like when you say go to the grocery store and you ask for the ground sirloin or whatever it might be, and they're like, oh, well, we've got a hamburger that's half that price. It's like, why are you telling me that when I can clearly see everything that's sitting here, and that's the one that I chose out of the selections that were available?
Yeah.
And the only reason they're telling you that is because you're Black, and they don't even know that what they said was racist.
Right. Right.
Because it's so subconscious and so like just natural that they don't even recognize that when the next lady comes up and she's a white lady and she says, I want, a pound of ground round. They're like, oh, okay. Would you like anything else to go with that?
Right. That's deep. That's our life.
That's our life.
How about that?
But we got to start calling people on it too.
Yes.
That's the thing we haven't done. It's like, oh, okay. Was there a reason you asked me if I wanted a different type when I,
That's like, say, for instance, if I call.
because you got to think about it. They got to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is what it is. It's in the industry, the beauty industry, is in every fabric of our lives right now. It's hard, but we're survivors. And yeah, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. But I'm believing something's going to change.
In our industry, amongst all of these beautiful African American women and men in this
And men. Mm-hmm.
and just form some type of community where, if it's every quarter or even twice a year, every 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
where we rotate and get to know each other and
Mm-hmm.
really really care for our community. It's so much division and so much strife with amongst just ourselves as
Mm-hmm.
Black people.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so stressful, because I know for me, when you look at what's happening to us, but then when you think about what we do to each other, I think that's why so many different nationalities look down on us as a people, because they know that we
Mm-hmm.
don't support each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the white man did a good job on us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, separating us.
He really did.
Well, one thing that I'm committed to doing through Beauty Superstars is doing interviews that celebrate excellence in our industry and letting these stories get told, because there's a lot of really, really super inspiring stories that we don't even know are out there that are like, wow, it's like, okay, well, if that person could do that, I could do, something.
Mhm.
And so, you know, it's like, I applaud you for starting Clip It. And
Thank you.
um, and there's just so many success stories that need to be shared, you know, along with the struggles that have gone to get, you know, get them there,
Mhm.
that we don't know about. You know, it's like, we don't know about them in our community. It's like, you know, and white people don't know about it in our community, in our, you know, beauty industry.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to be doing some interviews and just sharing some of these stories, because it's pretty phenomenal what we have to offer.
I think true, like if we could just be free with our lingo, if we could talk about black hair and white hair, if we could talk about black stylists and white stylists, and how, if, say for instance, if I go into a room to do a presentation amongst all black white people, I should be comfortable with talking about the fact that I'm a black, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
professional.
Right.
Um, without feeling, well, why do you have to do? Because it's it's what it is, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That whole like, oh, I don't see colors, like that irritates me.
That's not true. And again, when you talk about no curriculum ever in the cosmetology schools, Dudley's was the only one
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
had an African American curriculum. Everybody had to travel to Georgia just and pay, you know.
North Carolina. Yeah.
Was it North Carolina? Okay, I thought.
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you for the correction. Okay, and you know, had to go to one school.
Hmm.
You know, when we came in the industry, and that was Dudley's, and then
Hmm.
they sold out, right?
No, they're still family owned, but it's smaller
Oh, it
than
is.
it was.
It's still
Yeah.
because I okay. Uh,
Yeah.
did they sell the product?
No, they still have the product as far as I know. I mean, nobody like asked me about it or anything, so I believe so. I
Okay,
still see Mr. Dudley speaking every so often, and
really?
Mrs. Dudley and his daughter's the one that's taking it over now. But they don't have the same force and impact, and they don't have the school and, you know, some of the other things that they
I
used
wonder
to
what
have.
happened with that.
I don't know.
Well, we need to figure it out.
Yeah, maybe you can have him on,
Yes, yes.
because he really, I think that's why as many Black stylists are proficient with hair color as there are now, because of the impact that Dudley School and the training that they offered made. Because we have some phenomenal colorists, and I would say 20 years ago we did not.
Okay, yeah. So, all right, let's thank everyone for watching.
Yes.
You, Miki Wright, for coming to Clip It. You're becoming a regular. Um, so I just want to say thank you, and I want to ask the audience to please like, share, and ring the bell. And if you have any comments, just leave them down in the caption area. And we thank you so much for watching Clip It, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.